What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's going on with the economic calendar, what the news is saying about Tesla, what you should be looking out for as time goes on. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla. So, looking at Tesla, we have a very interesting range right over here that's been developing, and this is very similar to what's happening to SPY, the QQQ, and Aapl, and other tickers out there. So, we're going to break down the technicals over the next couple of minutes, but let me first talk about some news, some data, and things like that before I get started. So, for the economic calendar for tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have consumer inflationary expectations coming out. Could cause some volatility, but it's usually not that crazy. Then at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions coming out. So watch those very carefully. This will likely lead to volatility. And besides that, we have Bostic from the Fed giving a speech. So very minor data for tomorrow, which is going to be Monday. Very, very minor stuff, nothing too crazy. But I do want to warn you guys that later on during the week, on Thursday, we have CPI coming out. That's going to be very important. It's going to cause a much bigger move in the markets, in my opinion. So watch that very, very carefully. Besides that, we have the Fear and Greed Index. This is going to be important too because this is still at greed. And generally, when the market is still this greedy, there's still room for downside in the future. Now, this doesn't mean anything about tomorrow specifically, but for the next few months, I would not rule out the possibility of more downside for the markets. So make sure you're very careful and make sure you guys pay close attention to this as time goes on. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there is some negative headlines that came out. I don't really want to talk too much about them on this channel because it involves things which I can't really mention. Basically, there's some reports coming out that there are witnesses that have claimed that Elon Musk has been, doing things he shouldn't be doing. Let's just say that. You could look it up if you guys want to find it. It involves certain substances. With that news coming out, it's not good, at least for Elon Musk and also from reports, but nothing too massive has escalated just yet from it. It's just making lots of headlines for now. Besides that, the same pieces of news have been coming back for the Tesla, 2024 range ratings basically dropping for the Model Y, the Plaid S and X. This is coming out because of some new regulatory changes, which is very unfortunate, but it's not that horrible because these were like very, very minor changes by like 6% or something. It's not that horrible overall. As far as Tesla goes, we have a performance rating from Oppenheimer, nothing too crazy. The price-price ratio is very flat, it's a little bit down right now as Tesla showed a little bit of weakness, but it's not that bad. And then on top of that, Mondays do have a tendency of being green about 53% of the time, so hoping for a green day for tomorrow, as long as we don't get too much negative news. And then around noon, we tend to see high volatility, and also around 2 and 3 o'clock p.m. This did adjust a little bit, so we're starting to see more volatility, more green around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tesla. So that's actually a slight improvement, and we'll see how this goes as time goes on. That's it when it comes to some metrics. Volume is okay right now. Let's hope that it remains decent. Now let's break down Tesla with more detail. So there's a pattern on Tesla that's very important to note. Basically, if you look at the last couple of days, right? Let's go back to like Tuesday. What happened to Tesla? Tesla pumped and it dumped into close, right? What happened on Wednesday, right? Something very similar. Tesla gapped down, it pumped and then dumped into close. It actually pumped for a couple of hours. What happened on Thursday? Pumped for about 2 to 3 hours. Then it dumped after that into close on Thursday. For Friday, it pumped a little bit, tested 240, and then dumped and closed once again very flat as predicted. So interesting stuff, guys. We're pumping and dumping over and over again. So I do anticipate a little pump when we open on Tesla. But it's not just because of this pattern. It's also because of some technicals. The 4-hour is showing a potential cross to run the PPO. And Tesla is still hovering above this critical support right over here at 234. So here's something very important for tomorrow. This is going to be very critical, okay? So, news could come out at any given moment, which makes it impossible to predict Tesla every single day accurately or like exactly. So I can't be 100% accurate all the time, but there are some ranges I want to call out, which could help you improve your accuracy and better understand the trend on Tesla. So on the daily time frame, check this out, guys. We have this red EMA right here. This is the 200 EMA. 234 has been our support. This is where Tesla bounced off of on Friday, and this is the level I called out, and that's how Tesla's trying to hold. We also have resistance around 240 to 242 at the 50 EMA. So what does this mean for Tesla? It's very simple. Basically, we have very important support at 234. If we lose 234, Tesla's going to turn more bearish, and we're going to be expecting a bigger drop down to the 230 area, maybe even 228. So if we lose 234, we're very bearish. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla close not just above 240. I mean, 240 would be a little bit in favor of bulls, but even above 242 would be ideal, and that's going to favor the bulls a lot more. So if we get above 240, it's a little bullish. If we get above 242 and close above that, we're going to be even more bullish. And we have these imbalances to fill up here. We also have this like gap. So, Tesla could pump more if we get above 242 and close above that. So watch that as well. So those are some very important levels for tomorrow. But what do I think Tesla's going to do? All right. So if and this is what I think is going to happen. We might see a little pump when we open. Expect some kind of pump. I find that's very probable. This is assuming there's no like very negative headlines that come out. I think Tesla's most likely going to pump based off technicals. We're going to test at least 240, maybe a little bit higher. 242 could be tested, and then we're going to be watching to see if it could hold this level. Because don't forget, the daily 50 EMA is at 242. We'll see if Tesla could break that or not. It's going to be a very important resistance, but it's very probable that the market's not ready yet. We might actually pump and then come back down, but Tesla might still close kind of green, so I find that very probable. I think that Tesla is going to remain range bound for an extended period of time. I'll be watching this very carefully for now, then we'll be looking at other tickers for more details about this. On SPY, very similar to Tesla, the 4-hour PPO is about to get a crossover. So this suggests that SPY is going to try to push up on Monday. I think it's very likely we're going to try to push a little higher. But don't forget, we have some critical resistance at 469.6 at the 20 EMA, 470.7 to 471. That range is going to be resistance. And then above that, we have 472. So those are going to be resistance levels. And then for support, make sure you're watching 468, 467, and then 465. This is very simple, guys. If we lose 465, we end up closing below that, we're going to likely see this thing fall all the way down to 462. So 465 is critical support to watch for going into tomorrow, this 465 to 466 range. For resistance, we have 470. We also have just under like 472. So if we get above 471 and we close there, that's going to be a little bit bullish. If we break 472, that's even more bullish, and we're going to be expecting a much bigger push up to at least around 475. So I hope that's as clear as possible. 471 to 472 is where we have resistance, and we have support at 465. Those are the ranges to watch for like bigger moves. Now, what do I think it's going to do, however? Well, just like Tesla, we pumped and dumped on Wednesday, pump and dump Thursday, pump and dump Friday. We might pump again tomorrow, retest 470. I think we might actually start testing these levels on the 4 hour, just like either 469.6 to 470.74, then reject and come back down and just continue to trade sideways within this range. I think that's going to continue for tomorrow, and then we're going to make a bigger move later on. But just to be safe, make sure you watch your ranges. But my prediction is a little pump and dump like move and sideways price action within our range based off what we're seeing so far. So for the QQQ, basically, we have this channel right here. You guys can see this very clear channel. The green trend line is going to be our key resistance. We have this white trend line as our midline. Then we have this red trend line as another support that's holding this up. What I think, very similar to basically, SPY, on the 4-hour time frame, we're holding critical support. Watch this red EMA here. This is going to be the 200 EMA as support. 393, that range right over there, that's going to be our support. For resistance, watch 399 at the 20 EMA. 399.5 is going to be very important. Also 402 at the 50 EMA. So what does this mean for the QQQ? It's very, very simple, guys. Don't let the chart fool you. If we end up basically losing 395, we're going to come down to 393. If we close below 393, we're going to turn very bearish. A much bigger drop is going to be coming because we're going to lose the 200 EMA. If we're bullish, you want to see this thing basically close above 400, break the green trend line and hold above it, get up to about 400. If we break that, we'll be looking for a push up to 402 plus, even 404. We will be bullish if we break 400. Those are your ranges to watch for. Now, tomorrow, I think when we open, it's going to push up. We're going to see if we can break this green trend line or not. My gut is telling me it's going to try to break this. It might be a little successful, and it might end up failing later on and just trade very sideways within this range. I think it'll pump and dump, and then once again close very flat, maybe a little bit green. But I think that we're going to be looking for a nice push when we open and a drop later on, and it's going to trade kind of flat from there. On Nvda, Nvidia is looking kind of strong because nice break from this resistance. We broke above this kind of nice inverse head and shoulder structure, which I called out, and this did technically play out. And it looks like there could be more upside coming. You could even use like a Wyckoff analysis to determine that. This could help the QQQ push up just a bit. Now, we look bullish on the 4 hour, also on the daily. On Nvidia, we look bullish. So I could see potential for this to try to push up higher, just a little bit higher. I'm going to be watching to see how the resistance treats it. Our support at 390, not 390, excuse me, guys, 490, 488, 485, and 482. Those are support levels. And then resistance is going to be around 495. This blue trend line right here around 496, 498, and then 500. So with this inverse head and shoulders like structure, this could be like a Wyckoff sign of strength, and this could lead to like a nice push up from here. So it does look like it might push up higher, and this might help the market push up a little bit. So just to be safe, watch your levels, but I think it might try to retest this blue trend line or even get close to 498 to 500. It could get kind of close to that. I think another push up is coming, and I think it's going to reject and just trade sideways up there, and then things could change later on. But I think that this is going to help Nvidia and the market push up just a little bit, and then it might not last very long, guys. It could just last like an hour or so before the market starts trading sideways. So a pump and dump movement, a sideways rest of the day is very probable thanks to that. I find that very probable on Nvidia. Make sure you watch those resistance levels. For Aapl, not looking that great. Aapl is just kind of stuck within this range. If we lose 180, let me call out something very important on Aapl, and this is big for the market too. I'm going to be paying attention to Aapl because on the daily time frame, if we lose 180, 178 is going to be our 200 EMA. That's going to be very important. Let me just adjust this a little bit. 178 is our 200 EMA, so watch that very carefully. And for resistance, make sure you watch basically 182, 183, that entire range right there. If we're bearish, you want to see it basically lose 180. That's going to be a little bit bearish. And if we lose 178, we're going to turn very bearish. Okay, so those are two important supports, 180 and 178. For resistance, make sure you watch 183, excuse me, guys. 183 is going to be one resistance. 183.5 is going to be another one. If we get above 183.5, we're going to turn really bullish. I think Apple's going to push up to 185 plus if we do so. So watch those levels. What do I think Apple's going to do? My prediction is it's going to pop and reopen and come back down, and we'll have to see if it holds 180. I think it's going to be very range bound again, going back and forth between supply and demand as it's been stuck for the last couple of days. And then we're going to be looking for a bigger move later on. That's it for the main five, at least for this video. As a reminder, guys, like I said earlier, January 11th is when we have CPI coming out, so that's going to cause a very big move in the markets, in my opinion. So that's going to be a big catalyst for the week, so make sure you're prepared for that as time goes on. That's it for the main five, so let's just talk about a couple of others real quick. Very simply, based off the 4 hour and the daily time frame, I think Rivian's going to try to push up again, then make its way down to the 18s. I think it might push it for like 19.5 and then reject. And we're going to be looking for a move back down later on, so a little pump and dump like move. I think that SoFi has more downside coming. And this might test 8.5, then reject to come down to 7.84 based off the daily. Let me just show you the daily. The 4 hour is showing it might try to bounce. It could back test 8.5 and then come back down to 7.84. Either way, I do see it coming down lower. I think the daily still looks kind of weak for it. For the IWM, it has critical support on the 4 hour time frame at the 200 EMA at this 189 area. It could pop, retest around 195, but be careful. If it rejects off here, we could be looking for it to come back down close to 189 to 190, then back up in a very sideways fashion. But I think it's going to pump at least, and then we'll see if it breaks or not, but it might pump and dump and just trade sideways. I find that very probable. Microsoft is very boring. We have support at the 200 EMA at 367. We have resistance at 370, also 371.5. I think it might just go back and forth, not really doing much. I think it's going to be stuck for an extended period of time between these EMAs. You guys can see it's just stuck between them. It hits these EMAs to the top, it rejects, hits support down here, it tries to bounce, and back and forth and back and forth. Very boring price action may continue for it. AMD looks a little bullish. It depends on if you could break 139 to turn even more bullish. If we break 139 at the 50 EMA, I think it's going to be pushing up for around 144. If we reject off this, it's going to come down to 136, and we'll see if that holds. My guts tells me the 50 EMA is going to break. You're going to be looking for a push up. So NVIDIA may help this, so watch that very carefully. As far as the VIX goes, the VIX is going to be looking at the 13.35 area, the 50 EMA. If we lose this, going to be looking for this gap to fill. This could be helping the market bounce a bit, but we'll just have to see if this breaks or not. It could pop first and then end up doing this. So the VIX is looking a little bit weaker on the 4-hour time frame. It's also a possible double bottom like formation. So we'll see if the VIX actually breaks. If it breaks, the market could bounce a bit. This could be because of the market bouncing, if anything. So we'll just have to wait and see. Dollar is stuck between the 200 EMA and the 20 EMA. 102.31 is support, 102.84 is resistance. Might go back and forth for some time, and we'll see which way it breaks. Coinbase, in my opinion, this is looking. It depends on a lot of news that's coming up, but it's kind of range bound right now. We have critical support at the 200 EMA. We have resistance at 160, basically 158. So I think it might actually push it for 158, come back down, and just trade sideways. I still see it kind of being range bound as it's kind of stuck between this range. So 158, then a rejection and sideways price action. That's all I see for it. For Google, Google is at a critical level. We have the 200 EMA as support at 137. It needs to hold this. If we lose this, it's going to turn very bearish, come down to 133. If we hold this, look for a bounce to 139. So watch this 200 EMA as support, see how it holds or not. As far as Amazon goes, I think it's going to test 146.5, maybe 147 very soon. A little bounce might be coming for it, but we're going to see if it rejects or not around these levels. Does it reject close to 146.5 to 147, or does it end up holding above that? We'll have to watch that. It is going to try to push up a little bit, so see if it rejects or not. And then for Meta, this looks like it's going to try to push up higher on the 4 hours, so I could see 355. It's showing some nice life right here. It got a nice accumulation phase right here. It held support nicely. So I could see 355 so long as there's no bad news, and it might kind of trade sideways over there. We also have support at 348, so watch that, but I think it could push up a little bit more. That's it for the video, guys. I think that there's a good chance Tesla has a green day tomorrow. It might pop when we open, look for a push up, but don't become too comfortable when Tesla pushes up, because like the last few days, it kind of pumped and dumped. So it might pump and dump again, but then we'll see how it goes from there. With that being said, I thank every single one of you for listening. Please have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy what life has to offer. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about the markets. Take care, guys. And I'll see you guys once again tomorrow morning. Thank you and peace out.